Kickoff starts now.
So moving on now, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott. And a few days ago, the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott could not agree on a long-term contract. And the contract Dak Prescott wanted around 35, 37. The Cowboys weren't willing to give him to that much. And now he's getting around $31 million a year for this season. And I'm going to put this into as an idea. The two quarterbacks who have previously played on franchise tags have been Kirk Cousins, who left the next year for Minnesota, and Drew Brees, who left from San Diego to the Saints.
Oh, wow. That was a long time ago with Drew Brees.
Yeah. So it doesn't look incredibly promising for the Cowboys if they want to get a long-term for Dak Prescott. So that presents the question, how good does a quarterback need to be for them to be paid top-tier level money?
I think personally, it also asks the question, first let me just ask, do you think Dak is, however good you think that quarterback needs to be, and you can say this quickly in a yes or no or something like that, however good you think a quarterback needs to be, is Dak that good? Is Dak worth the money that he's asking for? Yes or no?
No, I don't believe he's that good.
Yes or no?
No.
I agree. I would say no. Because I think, here's my philosophy, and I think that Oren shares the same philosophy. Mm-hmm. The easiest or the best way to build a successful team, if you don't have an elite quarterback, is to spend the majority of your money on positions other than quarterback, and then your team will be at its best when your quarterback is on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
So that you don't have a lot, you're not spending a lot of money on your quarterback, and then you can use the money that you have from giving the quarterback little money to build the rest of your team. For example, the Rams did that with Jared Goff. I'm not thinking of other examples, right? Was Blake Bortles on a rookie contract? I don't know.
So,
but there are other things. But yeah, sorry, you can go.
So I think it's incredibly interesting. And I just want to bring in my philosophy to winning if I were general manager, is either you build your team with young players around a veteran quarterback.
Right.
Or with a young quarterback around blooming players or veteran other players. And this is a really interesting statistic. I thought that this was incredibly interesting. This is the 2018 postseason, and it's the amount of money spent on quarterbacks. Drew Brees was the 7th highest paid quarterback. Andrew Luck was 8. Russell Wilson was 11. Philip Rivers was 14. Then it goes 21, 25, 26, 31, 37, 39, 69.
Right.
44.
So that shows the teams who have the highest success don't necessarily pay their quarterbacks the most.
Exactly.
And alternatively, the teams that pay their quarterback less and manage to have a good supporting cast, you will be set up for success. Now,
it's so interesting. Sorry to interrupt you. It's so interesting that you look at quarterback position. You say that's the most important position in football. It is. I don't think that there are a lot of people debating that.
No way.
I think that you would say if the quarterback is so good, he should be paid top 5 quarterback money, right?
Yeah, but the problem is, I'm going to interrupt you again just for fun. Only if you're Mahomes, only if you're Lamar Jackson, but not even yet Lamar Jackson, just if Lamar Jackson keeps doing what he's doing. Only if you are truly elite do I think it's worth it to pay a quarterback that amount of money. If you're Mahomes, great. We already covered Mahomes in an initial reaction video. I say he's worth the money 100%. If you're winning MVP and then Super Bowl MVP in your first 2 seasons, give him all the money he needs.
Yeah.
You can base a team with more limited money around Mahomes and still have a great team. But if your quarterback is not that elite, then it's much better to focus on the supporting cast than the quarterback itself. And an example of messing up and overpaying your quarterback is Matthew Stafford and the Lions. I think Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. He's top 15, top 10 in the NFL, but he's not elite. He's not top 5. And this is the problem that the Lions made. Now they paid Matthew Stafford's on a huge contract, and they don't have enough money to give him a supporting cast. And he's not elite enough. He's not Patrick Mahomes enough to be able to do it on his own. So now they're kind of in a rut where Matthew Stafford is taking away all of the money that they would spend on other players, and he's not good enough to do it on his own.
So
that's my rant now.
So I'm going to give you an even better example. The Rams. The Rams were one of the most promising young teams. They
Mhm.
made it to the playoffs, and then they made it to the Super Bowl. And then suddenly, what happened? That offseason, they paid.
It's also a Super Bowl slump. I'll tell you this. I think you could have good evidence, but like the Falcons, they were promising, but then Super Bowl slumps are also a thing, even though they're
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how Super Bowl slumps work, but we'll get into that another time.
yeah.
I'm talking about the
Sure.
Rams
I'll
right
I'll let you use the Rams as an argument right now.
Yes. The Rams paid Jared Goff a lot of money. What can they do now to fix their team? Because they don't have any running backs because Todd Gurley got hurt, right? They don't have a real tight end. Their offensive line all got old. Their defense has pretty big holes. They couldn't draft anyone because they traded two first-round picks, I don't remember, for Jalen Ramsey. What can they really do? They're in a position right now where they can't improve because they spent that much money on Jared Goff.
Mhm.
And that's the mistake they made. Jared Goff isn't elite enough for him to be making 34, 33, 32, whatever he's making, above $30 million a year. He's not good enough. And you can't be paying a player that much money to produce at a Jared Goff level, at a Kirk Cousins level, at a Matthew
These
Stafford level.
quarterbacks don't get me wrong. These quarterbacks aren't bad.
No.
You just need to be amazing to be deserving of that much money.
And is Dak amazing? Dak Prescott has Ezekiel Elliott, one of the best running backs, Amari Cooper, one of the best receivers, one of the best offensive lines, DeMarcus Lawrence, Jalen Smith.
Yeah, a defense that always makes its way into the top 10.
Always
or
makes
top 15.
So how do you explain them not making the playoffs?
Right. I mean, you could also say the coach. People got mad at Jason Garrett, but I guess this year will be telling.
I'm not blaming it on Prescott. And I'm not saying that Prescott's a bad quarterback.
Yeah, this year will be telling, I guess, because they've got McCarthy and new wide receiver. They're supposed to be stacked, but if they end up underwhelming again, I think that it'll be pretty clear and pretty fair to point the finger at Dak, since they've had such a change and they had such a great draft.
All I want to add on is that there are very few teams as talented as the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And when a team does
on a pure roster level, top
very,
3, maybe best roster.
Yeah. And there are very few teams that have that skill level. And as we saw this year, when a team does bad, it gets blamed on 2 players, the quarterback and the coach.
Right. We discussed that a lot in our stuff about the Bears.
Exactly. And I think that while Jason Garrett wasn't good, Dak Prescott wasn't elite enough to bring this amazing team to even the playoffs.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not ready to blame Dak for that yet. It'll be very telling to see if Dak chokes again or if they underwhelm. Then I'm ready to point the finger at Dak. But, if they do great, then I'm going to say, okay, that was Jason Garrett's fault, because Jason Garrett is getting a lot of the blame. Like, it's the situation where I have this thought in my mind a lot. When a coach is getting criticized a lot, like, do you think – I think it's pretty clear with the Cowboys because they have such a good roster. Like, was the coach holding them back or actually making them overperform? You understand? Because with the case of Jason Garrett, since they have such a great roster, it makes it seem like he was definitely holding them back, right? But there are other instances where it might be more hard to tell.
But all I'm going to say is that the Cowboys have won before with Jason Garrett. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he's a good coach. I'm saying he did hold them back. With a roster that talented, it's like the Browns. The Browns had a pretty talented roster. Young, talented, skilled roster.
Yeah, exactly.
But Mayfield held them back.
Oh, you think Mayfield? Oh, but yeah, I don't know.
I said, yeah, Baker Mayfield held them back. Dak Prescott held them
back. Okay, whatever. I won't get into the Browns because that's sidetracked. But yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think that you can't pay quarterbacks elite money if they're not able to elevate you and make you, if you have a great team, then you should perform record-wise great. And if you have a subpar team with a good quarterback, you should be above average.
And I'll tell you why, like an example of paying a quarterback elite money that deserves it, Russell Wilson. Yeah. Russell Wilson manages to take every year people say the Seahawks aren't going to do well. And every year they manage to sneak into the playoffs and maybe go on a run because Russell Wilson can take a pretty bad roster. I think Russell Wilson is one of those players who makes his wide receivers have big names. I mean, right, DK Metcalf is one of the best wide receivers he's ever had on his team. But I think that most of the great wide receivers that he's had, like Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett, they were created by Wilson in for like a lot of it. They have some talent, but Tyler Lockett's just a speedster. Doug Baldwin is a guy who could just get open and had good chemistry.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is Russell Wilson, it made sense to pay Russell Wilson such a high amount because although they'd have less money to spend, Russell Wilson is able to work with what he has.
Exactly.
So that's a good quarterback, but I haven't seen that out of Dak.
And I'm gonna leave this for the audience to ask themselves.
And by the way, sorry, I keep interrupting you, but let us know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube or even an Apple podcast, you can comment. Please let us know what you think. We'll make sure to respond. We reply to everything and quickly. We'd love to know your insight on this podcast. Yeah. So
I think that this is a really interesting question. It goes for all the NFL. And I think that I'm just going to leave you guys with this question. Is he going to make your team elite?
Dak.
Or is Dak going to make – don't answer it, but is Dak going to make your team elite? Or is he going to keep the team at the level that they were? And that's the question that you should ask yourself when you're going to pay a quarterback this much. Because Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, and he helps the team. But will he be able to make a team elite?
Mm-hmm.
And if he's able to make this team elite, then you can go for it. But I don't know if he is. And that's the question that should be asked.
If you enjoyed this episode of From the Den, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video.
Or, if you're a Packers fan, remember to dislike and leave a nasty comment. Click the links on the screen to access additional content.